Hello, hello. Welcome to the Eclipse live show discussion. We will be discussing Eclipse and also the novella. I actually don't know if anyone here read the novella or not. I know that one person DNF'd it, but yeah. And then also letting everyone know here on the screen and in the comments to keep it spoiler free for past Eclipse, so Breaking Dawn, and then Midnight Sun is like regressing, but still, like when we talk about spoilers, we're just talking about spoilers for Eclipse and not Breaking Dawn. But yeah, just gonna say that right off the bat. And to give a quick little synopsis of this book, I actually went to Goodreads because I was like, I don't think I'm going to be able to come up with one that's going to be good enough. So this is what Goodreads pitches this book as. As Seattle is ravaged by a string of mysterious killings and a malicious vampire continues her quest for revenge, Bella once again finds herself surrounded by danger. In the midst of it all, she is forced to choose between her love for Edward and her friendship with Jacob, knowing that her decision has the potential to ignite the ageless struggle between vampire and werewolf. With her graduation quickly approaching, Bella has one more decision to make, life or death, but which is which? And if we all want to go around and introduce ourselves and just tell me what you rated the book.
Okay, I can go. Hello, I'm Em from Em Reads Romance, and I rated Eclipse 4 stars, surprisingly. So, yeah.
I'm Michelle from Michelle's Library. I rated Eclipse 5 stars.
Hi, I'm Jess. My channel is Books Past Bedtime. I didn't finish my reread because I suck. But when I have reread it most recently, I gave it 4 stars, and I would say that's probably accurate still.
I'm Sydney from Sydney Page Books, and I rated it 3 stars.
Interesting. And also, I wanted to ask, where would you guys rank this one enjoyment-wise with the other two? Like, which one would you put first, second, and third?
It's hard for me. I don't know. I feel like Eclipse has always been my favorite, but like Twilight is so iconic. So like it's hard for me to like compare the two, you know what I mean? But I think like content-wise, Eclipse is probably my favorite because so much goes on the entire time, even though it's so long.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I have the opposite opinion. I feel like Eclipse has always been my least favorite of all of them, just because I don't like what happens with the love triangle issues. But I don't know. I'm liking it maybe better than New Moon this reread. So Twilight's the best, though. Twilight's always my number.
I have a hard time.
Twilight's in my number 1 also, but I would say Eclipse is my second.
Nice. Yeah, I really was just eating this book up. Like, I don't know what it was about it, because years and years ago, when I read the series for the first time, I was like, yeah, Eclipse is my favorite one in the entire series. And everyone was like, that's the worst book. And I'm like, what do you mean? So I started to second guess myself that I was in the wrong. And I'm like, maybe it was Breaking Dawn that I liked, and I just got the two mixed together. But I knew it wasn't New Moon, because that's my favorite. But reading it this time around, I'm like, yeah, it is my number 1.
I know.
So I think like a lot happens, and I really like the pacing of this book. But also, I know we watched the movie first before the live show this time, but the pacing in the movie was so off from the book. Like, everything happened super quick, where in the book it was drawn out, but not drawn out in like a boring way. I really liked the pacing in the book and not so much in the movie, but I guess it has to be.
Yeah, but I feel like with the movie, they still like kept everything in. It was just like really fast paced. So I don't know like how they achieved that, but I still like the movie, but I like the book more.
Yeah. I would probably rank Eclipse 1, then Twilight, then New Moon.
I think I'm the same. Yeah. Eclipse is great. I love Eclipse.
It really is. Like, there's so much in it, and then you also get more of people's backstories and stuff, and it's like very interesting to me.
I love all the backstories, especially Rosalie's.
We can just jump right into spoilers. That was a great segue. That's like one of my questions. But if you're here and you haven't read it, go ahead and hop off for now, because we're just going to jump straight into spoilers. It's really hard to just talk about these books in general. So we're switching over to spoilers. And yeah, my first question is, what do we think about Rosalie's backstory? Does it make you like her more, like her less? What are your thoughts?
She's my favorite character. I love her so much. The fact that she, like, I don't know, vigilante shit is what
yeah.
It's great. And the fact that she didn't, like, she's never had human blood is really cool too. Like, she's like the prime.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that part of it. Like, she had never had human blood before.
Well, and the fact too that she was like a newborn and she had the control to like go out and do that. Like I don't know. Rosalie's best.
She's impressive for sure.
I think when I read this for the first time, I didn't like fully grasp what happened to her until I watched the movie and they made it like more obvious, I guess, what happened, like what actually happened to her, like before she was turned by Carlisle. But like rereading it this time, I was like, Stephenie Meyer really like tries to tell you without like making it graphic with what happened to her. So I like really grasped it. This is like my 5th time, but like I was just like, wow, this is intense what happened to her. So
yeah, I agree. Also, like, do we think it's hypocritical of her to tell Bella to not change for Edward when she changed Emmett?
I would say yes. But like she was like Carlisle was trying to pair Edward and Rosalie together, and when Edward wasn't having it, what's a girl to do?
Yeah. Also, she found Emmett when he was dying. So.
Yeah. Like he was being mauled by a bear.
Yeah,
right?
he was gonna die.
Yeah. So I feel like she's a little bit hypocritical, but I feel like maybe if she had found Emmett when he was human, she wouldn't have cared and she wouldn't have turned him. So.
Yeah, like if there weren't actual
he wasn't dying. I mean,
yeah, if he wasn't like on the verge of actual death, then maybe. But I also thought it was kind of interesting, but also weird that, I mean, what initially drew her to him, obviously he's being mauled by a bear, but that like one of her best friend's babies looked like Emmett. Which was like, what?
Weird baby things going on.
There's so many weird baby things happening in Eclipse. Like,
yeah.
Is Stephenie Meyer okay? Does she need to go to jail?
She needs to go to therapy.
Just the fixations. I was like, what? I'm going to have to go back and read that again. Because, like, he had a lot of characteristics that her best friend's child had.
I noticed that for the first time this time. And I was like, wait, is she trying? I actually thought that they were, like, connected. And then I was like, no, Emmett's name is Emmett. I was like, no, okay. But yeah, I noticed that for the very first time this time listening to it. And I was like,
yeah. And like timeline wise, that wouldn't really match up, right? I don't know.
I don't think it does, but it does seem very weird.
Also, are we team Edward? Are we team Jacob? Or are we team Switzerland? Because I was gonna ask this last time, and then I was like, wait, it doesn't get introduced until team Switzerland.
I am still team Edward, and I'm also team Bella because I can't tell you how. Like, I wish I counted how many times Bella said no to Jacob in this. Maybe I'll reread it and just like highlight every time she says no. Because it has to be at least 30 times that she tells Jacob no. So if Jacob wasn't in this book, it'd be even better.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's so frustrating that like, and that's what I appreciate about Edward. I feel like in the beginning of this book he is a little bit like overprotective and controlling, but then he like takes a step back and it's like, okay, no, Bella has agency to make her own decisions, and he allows her to make her own decisions, whereas Jacob is just like blundering all over the place, and I'm like, stop it. I just want to smack him.
I absolutely I don't like Jacob in New Moon, but in Eclipse, I hate him.
Yeah,
like,
I hate him too.
Yeah, I hate him.
Yeah.
He's like a pusher. He's just constantly just like, he's so annoying. But like, yeah, what you were saying, Edward is more so toxic and controlling at the very beginning. Like I was like, Eddie, you and I are gonna have some fighting words right now. Like I don't like this. But then he was like, okay, maybe I'm being a little over dramatic, because he's like, no, you can't go on the res and like you can't see him and all this stuff. But like obviously she has some unresolved feelings that she doesn't even know what they are until a little bit later, you know?
But it like, now that you've like read all of these, you go back and you read Eclipse knowing what's going like to happen, and you're just like, oh,
yeah,
I get it. But still, like, without knowing, you're like, ew.
Yeah. We've got Team Edward.
Yeah.
A lot of Team Edwards. Yeah, I feel like back when the movies came out, everyone was like very divided. There were a lot of Team Jacob people, but now it's
Team Taylor Lautner people.
True.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I always thought I would be Team Jacob because I thought he was hotter. But now that I read it, I was like, oh, I can't.
Yeah. I mean, I was definitely Team Edward when I was reading the books, and then I saw the movies and I was like, wait a second, am I switching teams?
It's confusing.
Very confusing.
I think they both kind of suck. Like what Edward did in New Moon, I still like, it's hard to forgive him all of these years later. But Jacob can't take no for an answer, which is just like, I cannot.
The biggest red flag.
Yeah.
So much so that he ends up assaulting her, I would argue.
Assaulting her. Yeah.
Literally.
Literally.
That was like another thing I wanted to bring up. Was it assault? And I'm like,
yes. 100% an assault.
And she should have punched him, you know?
Yeah.
But also it sucks that she had the repercussions for that and not him.
Yeah.
Freaking broke her hand.
She had Edward punch him.
Broken him.
Oh my god,
Lauren.
His face is ugly.
I was gonna say, I think Edward's hotter.
Yeah, I agree. I've always thought Robert Pattinson has been more attractive.
Yeah,
Cammie would say the same.
Yeah. If Cammie's here in spirit, she agrees.
All right, so let's kind of like discuss the similarities between the whole Sam, Emily, and Leah situation versus Bella, Jacob, and Edward. Like, why do you think Stephanie chose to do both of those?
First of all, I feel like it is like more obvious in the book. Like, she goes over like almost a whole half of a chapter of this love triangle, and in the movie it's like 1 second, and it's like very confusing. So I always like miss it in the movie. But I don't know. I just guess Stephanie Meyer loves a good love triangle. I don't really know.
There was one line when they were talking about it where Bella was like, does Leah see the scars on Emily's face and think it was justice or something? And I was like, holy shit. Why would you say that?
Yikes.
I was floored, but I don't know. I feel so bad for Leah in that situation. I wish instead of Midnight Sun, I wish we got a Leah book. Honestly.
That would have been great. Instead of Bree Tanner, Leah book.
Yeah. I would love that so much. Leah is such a good character.
Yeah.
Done so dirty in every way.
And why do you think she's the only like woman wolf that they have, because even when they were around the campfire and telling the story, like there had never been a female wolf before. Like, what do you think that was all about, and why had we never heard of that happening?
That's a really good question. I just feel like it's like the new generation of wolves coming up, and maybe just like with the new generation that happened. But I also think Stephanie made that choice because then Sam constantly hears her thoughts.
Yeah.
And like Sam can't escape Leah. So it's just more interesting that way.
Yeah. And I feel like Stephanie might argue too, since there's just so many vampires around, that it just forced it to happen.
Yeah, it does add an extra element where they're always like in each other's heads, you know, when they're wolves. And so they can just hear Leah moping about her love that she can't be with, but it's not his choice, which like imprinting is such a weird concept to me. And it's like, if we're trying to compare this to like real life things, you can kind of choose who you fall in love with, but it's just the whole imprinting thing takes it to another level where it's like, even if you love someone else, you're automatically just inclined to love this person more.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I read a ton of stuff on KU that has like the fated mates trope, but it's never done so weird since Twilight. Like, I don't know, the whole like imprinting at any age and the whole lore behind it in this story is just so weird. And I feel like it really takes the agency away from the characters instead of it being like a good thing or
a mutual, like yeah, because who is it, Quill? So we learned that Quill, right, is imprinted on a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
Yes, another like baby.
It's not like the woman / child imprints in return. It's just that they eventually fall for it.
Because they like literally won't leave her alone.
Yeah.
Like,
but then it's weird that we talk about how Jacob knows what it means to imprint and all that kind of stuff, but like he is kind of telling Bella, you'd know if I had, because she's like, have you imprinted on someone? He's like, you'd know if I had. So like, why does he keep pursuing her if he hasn't imprinted on her? You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I think that comes with like the idea that it's supposed to be rare. So he just figures he's not going to meet the person he's imprinted on, and he just loves Bella. But as the story goes on and that becomes like everyone's imprinting, I don't know if that
shouldn't he want to find the person that he is gonna imprint on, you know?
I don't want him to find the person that he's going to
I mean,
we can just skip it.
Like, is Sam really in love with Emily then? It's like, is it love or is it just animal instinct?
He describes it in Eclipse as an all-consuming, uncontrollable love.
Yeah, like you.
So I guess in that case, he dropped Leah for this like thing he couldn't control. I don't know.
All right, moving on to Jasper. What do we think about learning more about his backstory?
I said this at some point, but it's not in the movie. It's just in the book that he's a Confederate soldier.
Yeah.
And like why? Yeah.
Why? Yeah, that's my only question is why.
Yeah.
And obviously they take it out in the movie because why?
Yeah. Yeah. And it really has nothing to do with his story other than being a soldier, but he can just be a soldier. He doesn't have to be in the
could have been
army.
A soldier anywhere at any time. Like, why specifically be a Confederate soldier? And like, that's all.
I totally glossed over it. I didn't even notice it until Michelle pointed it out, and I was like, "Oh yeah, you're right."
And there's like no dismantling of it. There's no commenting on it.
It's just Bella's just like, wow, like
I have so much more respect for him after that story. Like, Bella.
Yeah, like your racism was showing. Like I don't know what to say other than Stephanie Meyer is an asshole. Like I don't know.
True. But do you feel like he met Alice at the right time? Like, I'm still confused with Alice's backstory. Like, I'm still gonna be
don't
honest.
know.
Why did we still are
He
just
doesn't know
continuing
either.
to wonder?
I wish
The
I
only
was
thing,
in novella too. Then we could learn her backstory.
Exactly.
yeah, I mean, like Alice just saw him coming, but like, why couldn't she go to him and like rescue him? Thank you.
Some things just don't add up, but
The math is not mathing, but I still love it.
Okay. Also, I know Melissa, who's here, asked a question of like, do you think that the novella served a purpose? And I will say there's something in here that I forgot about and I didn't know about. The movie doesn't show it either, but basically the whole time you're reading this book, you're wondering, why is the Volturi not getting involved with this newborn army? Why are they just stuffing aside and like pretending that it isn't happening? Like, where are they? And in this one, Bree, she sees the Volturi come and visit, what's her name? Victoria and Riley. And they say like, oh yeah, we know what's going on. We're just going to intervene once everything's like settled down. I didn't know, or I forgot that the Volturi actually knew about it. And they were just choosing to not intervene until like
they show the Volturi in the movie watching down on them taking apart Seattle. It's like a minute. So like it is there, but like I still don't understand the point of this novella. And I DNF'd it.
Yeah.
I've never read it before. I've never read it before. This was my first time, and I was still like, I don't understand the purpose of this, other than it being a money grab, which is fine. But like, it should have been Leah. It should have been Alice's story. It should have been literally anything else.
True, but at the same time, it gives you an insight as to what they're doing. Because obviously in Eclipse, it's just Bella's perspective.
Yeah.
So there's no perspective of like what's actually happening with this newborn army, what's happening with Riley and Victoria. Because it's just Bella, who also another thing is like, how is she the mastermind behind, like, how did they not realize that Victoria was behind this?
They're so dumb. I don't know. They're all dumb. They're just like, these newborns, oh my god, we have to get them. And then Bella is the one. I mean, I know that we like have gone back and read Twilight and we're like, yeah, Bella is smart. Right?
Yeah.
But
sometimes
I feel like one of these vampires should have figured this out way before she did.
They all have special abilities. She's like, wait a second, guys. Victoria's behind this.
Like oh I figured this out. Yeah. I guess I didn't care about this novella because I had seen Eclipse. So like with Eclipse, they do show the background. So I just felt like it didn't matter to me, and I don't care about Bree Tanner, and I never have. So like I was just like, I don't care.
I mean, I felt bad for her though because she was really like not.
I know they were gonna like keep her and everything, and I but like for me, I was just like, I don't know why I never cared. Okay, I'd never read it.
Carlisle just wanted to grow his family. He
I know he did.
I feel like it would have been too much of a challenge for Stephanie to add a new character in at that time, though. So she had to go.
But yeah, and then you're thinking, this is the only time the Volturi decided to intervene. Like, why? Like now they step in and they just kill Bree Tanner. Like
it's just such a random moment. Like I'm picturing it in the movie now where they were watching down, but they never actually like talked to Victoria. Because obviously they're kind of like all knowing and all seeing and they know what's going on. But to know from the novella that they actually had discussions with them about it and they're like, oh, we'll just see how this plays out.
Yeah.
which is so strange to me.
I know.
I think they're just psychos. But in Jasper's story, I feel like they kind of did the same thing with like the stuff that was going on in the South. Like they just kind of waited for quite a while, let a lot of people die to see what was going to happen first, and then they stepped in.
Yeah.
But
also, how is Alice watching her but never saw her with Riley? I still don't understand that phenomenon. Yeah, like they say Victoria's not making the decisions, but still, like you would be able to see her talking. I don't understand.
Yeah. You see, at least in the movie, like she's talking behind Riley. So like she's still making the decisions by having Riley execute them. So it's like she's still a part of this. Why can't Alice see anything? It's another plot hole. That's it. Stephanie got dumb.
Yeah. Do you feel any sympathy for Riley? You're like, I could care less.
I don't know. I do feel bad. Like he was just Jasper, and like I like Jasper, but like I definitely feel like he was manipulated. But otherwise, he was gonna die anyway, I guess.
Yeah. Are we satisfied with how Victoria met her end? Crickets. I mean, I'm glad that
I don't even remember.
Edward kind of was just like egging her on, which was funny because I feel like Bella was just like, what? Why are you trying to get her to kill me right now?
I like that like this plot point is done and now we like move on like what's gonna happen in Breaking Dawn. I wonder if she thought Eclipse was going to be like the last one and then like did the cliffhanger at the end. Like I don't know what her thought process was with like the whole Victoria thing just having a 3-book arc. But like I think it was a good ending for Eclipse. And I like how he like tore her apart basically.
Yeah. And she said it could look like he was kissing her or something. And I was like, that's a weird thing for you to say.
That's weird.
But like also you just kissed somebody else. So I guess payback's a bitch.
Yeah, and then how Bella does the like she like cuts her arm with the rock to like distract everybody.
Yeah. Also,
But like
how
Stephanie loves her parallels.
Yeah.
The third wife.
The third wife. Yeah.
Or that's not what it's called. Is that what it's called?
What?
The book. Yeah. You know what I mean.
What? I think we all spoke at once, so I just heard third wife. And I was like, yeah, that's not the name of the book.
No. Well, also, yeah, the third wife parallel, but they referenced what is it? It's not called Wuthering Heights, is it?
Yeah, it's Wuthering Heights.
Yeah.
They did right in the beginning.
Yeah. And then Edward's reading it later on. And like the whole passage with Rochester. Or not. I'm getting so confused. Never mind.
Stephanie really loves just making them parallel to like Romeo and Juliet or like the last one and then Wuthering Heights for this one.
Yeah, I don't know. She always just picks the classic book to reference.
Be deep, you know.
She loves her classic.
Really, yeah. But yeah, how sad is it that the third wife goes down in legends and history but doesn't have a name?
Yeah, and she was the one who was imprinted and like doesn't have a name.
It's so shitty.
Yeah.
Like you did all that for them to just forget that you even exist. Yeah. I mean, you're there, but you're nameless.
Yeah, that's it.
Do you this is like the thing I was putting off talking about, but the tent scene and the kiss that goes down in history. What are our thoughts and feelings about either or?
Fire and Ice is my favorite chapter of the whole entire series forever. I remember when I read it the first time, I was like obsessed, and I could not wait to see how they portrayed it in the movie, and I think that they did a good job. So I like when I was coming up on it, I was like, oh, man, I'm so excited. As far as the kiss, that was a pity kiss, and that's fine.
Yeah. But also, like, you have a boyfriend? Why are you asking this man's to plant one on you?
I guess to see if she would like feel something.
Yeah.
Like, was she testing herself?
I feel like she was also kind of manipulated into it. Because
For sure.
Like, oh, I'm gonna go die.
Yeah. He's like, I'm gonna go kill myself because you don't love me.
Yeah. So another form of abuse there.
Yeah, he's a
and then he still goes. He's like, all right, see ya. Like, now that I got
I'm gonna go, almost die. Yeah.
And then he's like, yeah, I feel kind of shitty about it once he gets injured. And he's laying in his deathbed. And then she's like, was he mad? No, he was like, was Edward mad about the kiss? And he's like,
so annoying.
So annoying. And like, he really thought that she was gonna choose him after all of that.
But she did admit to having feelings for him, like other than platonic. So
I feel like it's so different than what she feels for Edward, though.
It is different, but she did finally say, like, I do love him, just not as much as Edward. So this is like the first book where there's actually kind of a love triangle, but it's very much near the end because the whole time she's saying no.
She's gaslighted into thinking that, though.
I agree. She's so manipulated at this point. Yeah.
She can't even discern what's her own thoughts and what's been planted because she's just been so manipulated by him.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I guess she was like, I think it's just.
I feel like the trauma
with her body parts and not her heart. Okay, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and Edward won't do anything with her, so.
Literally, she has
literally.
To beg.
He's like begging him, and he's like, "Nah, bro, I'm good."
And then she's hurt, and he's like, "Wait a second, why are you hurt by that?"
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense because he doesn't want to actually kill her, but still, like, explain yourself. Don't just be like, "Ew, get off me."
You a lady, button up your shirt. Is what he said.
Yeah. Anybody have any last thoughts, last questions, anything you want to discuss?
My favorite quote is also in this book, and that's "Look after my heart, I've left it with you." That used to be my Facebook, like, whatever, like, message on, my wall for so many times. So I just wanted to expose myself. That was also, like, very long ago.
Sure. Yesterday.
Yeah. Yesterday, actually.
I was gonna say, I actually wasn't there for the movie night, so I haven't seen the movie yet still. And I'll be honest, a lot of things in the book went over my head, or I was just like tuning out because I also listened to the audio while reading along. So I was like, I enjoyed just like hearing all your thoughts because a lot of it I was just like, oh yeah, I didn't even catch that, or I don't remember that. And like with it being my first read, obviously like I don't know what's going on. So like I didn't catch like I feel like the majority. So I'm excited to watch the movie if you guys say it's like pretty accurate the pacing or whatever. Which I actually didn't like the pacing in the book. Because I feel like a lot of it was I'm not a big like backstory person either, so I didn't enjoy any of that.
It is a lot. Like, I felt like some of it was like filler. Like the graduation party was just like leading up to the end of high school.
Yeah, honestly, the pacing is a little bit slow in this one, I think, and then it ends up being a little anticlimactic because it's not like in the fight anymore.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. I get you with the pacing. It's a long book for what? I don't know.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of stuff is just kind of dropped in there, especially the backstories and stuff.
Mhm.
While I do think they're interesting, they're just kind of randomly placed.
Yeah, like you get two very like big characters backstory in the third book. Like I don't know, you've been with these characters for 3 books, and here you finally are learning about them. Like I don't know.
And like I don't really care about any other characters besides Edward and Bella.
Yeah, I get that.
So,
Fair enough.
yeah.
One of my critiques, though, of this book is how much Bella says that, like, well, the werewolves are gonna get hurt. Vampires are so much stronger and faster, and you guys are gonna get hurt by the vampires. And I'm just like, why does she underestimate the werewolves like so much? It's so annoying.
Yeah, she thinks they're weak.
Yeah.
And like they have proven themselves not to be
designed to be vampire killers.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like, dude, what? Yeah, I don't know. But she thinks the werewolves are weak, which is annoying.
Yeah.
They don't look weak in New Moon. I was freaking terrified.
They're huge.
Huge.
Scary.
And she likes him better as a dog, so
Everyone likes Jacob better as a dog.
He doesn't talk, yeah.
Yeah, and I was reading somewhere that it says in the book Jacob is supposed to be 7 feet tall. Because, you know, we always talk about like how young he is and it's just creepy. But
are we talking about when he's a human or when he's a wolf?
No, literally a human. It says 7 feet tall. I was like, I'm gonna have to fact check.
6'7". I specifically remember reading it yesterday. 6'7", which is still very tall.
And that's like very tall.
Weirdly tall. But
yeah, that's too tall.
I guess they rounded up. But either way, he's very tall. Okay, I think that's all that I wanted to say, except for the fact I think it was petty that after Jacob gave her that charm bracelet with the very ornate carving of a werewolf, that Edward was like, put me on there too, and gave her a little heart.
That's one of his like asshole traits. Like, just leave her alone.
Yeah, I feel like he did a couple of cringy things like that too, especially when he bought the motorcycle. That scene gives me such secondhand embarrassment. Especially I see now that it's just something you do with Jacob. Like, yeah,
like Edward.
It was like,
just stop. Like, she's already chosen you. Go away.
Yeah.
Just chill out. And he's just acts so sad.
Yeah, he's a sad boy.
All right. If that's all everyone wants to say, we're gonna wrap it up. Thank you all for coming, and we will see you for Breaking Dawn sometime this month, because it is November. Don't know when it's gonna be yet, but it'll be this month probably. Fingers crossed, if not like the first week of December, but we'll figure it out. I'm excited about Breaking Dawn. Really excited. Because I know some things are going to happen. And I can't wait. But yeah, thank you all for coming. Bye.
Bye.